They called it a team synergy mixer. That's the exact phrase in the calendar invite, team synergy mixer. And my stomach dropped the same way it does when you miss a step in the dark. I remember sitting at my desk, staring at that notification for longer than I'd like to admit. Not because I had anything against my coworkers, but because I already knew, with a specific and exhausted certainty, exactly what the next 3 hours would feel like. The circles of people I didn't know how to break into, the performance of enthusiasm I'd have to sustain, and the slow, particular kind of tiredness that settles deep in your chest when you've been pretending to be fine for too long. Here's what nobody puts in the company email. For some of us, mandatory fun is the single most draining item on the entire corporate calendar. Not the performance review, not the end of quarter crunch, the mixer, and yet we show up. Because opting out carries its own tax. The whispered questions, the sideways glances, the way your manager says, "We missed you," in a tone that means something else entirely. So we go, and most of us go completely unprepared, burning through our reserves before we even find a parking spot. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the system I built for surviving these things, and eventually for leaving them without that hollow, wrung-out feeling you carry home like a bag of wet sand. I call it the energy budget method, and by the end of this, you'll have 3 specific tools you can use before your boss even finishes clinking their glass. Stay with me. Oh Lord, it is good to be here with you. Welcome back to the Confident Connection Lab. Genuinely glad you're here. If you've ever felt that pull to leave the room before you even walked in, hit like. It tells the algorithm we exist. It tells me you exist. Either way, it matters. Let me take you back to a Tuesday afternoon in October. The event was on the 22nd floor, one of those glass-walled conference rooms that gets temporarily converted into a social occasion with a charcuterie board, a Bluetooth speaker playing something aggressively neutral, and overhead lighting that makes everyone look slightly unwell. There were maybe 40 people. I knew 12 of them. The other 28 were strangers wearing lanyards and holding drinks like props in a scene they weren't entirely sure they'd been cast in either. I walked in, did a full lap around the perimeter. You know, the move, the casual lap that isn't casual at all. It's reconnaissance, and then stationed myself near the snack table, because the snack table is the socially acceptable place to stand alone without anyone asking why you're standing alone. My shoulders were somewhere around my ears. My jaw was clenched so tight I could feel it in my temples. And I had this very specific thought: if I stay here long enough, maybe someone will assume I'm with catering, and I can leave early with them. I did not leave with the catering team, but I did stand there for 11 minutes eating miniature quiches until my manager materialized beside me and said, "And I need you to know this is a direct quote. You look like you're hiding." She wasn't wrong. I was absolutely hiding. Here's what was actually happening to me in that room, and I didn't have a name for it until much later. My brain had already spent the energy before I walked in the door. The 2-hour pre-event spiral, the internal rehearsal, the social wargaming, the imagined conversations and their imagined outcomes. All of that had burned through what I now call my social fuel. Psychology calls this ego depletion, the idea that self-regulation draws on a finite cognitive resource. And once that resource runs low, every interaction becomes harder. Every silence feels longer. Every exit feels more complicated. I call it the empty tank problem, because that's what it actually feels like in your body. You arrive already running on fumes, and then you're expected to perform for 2 to 3 hours straight. The empty tank problem, say it once, so it sticks. That pre-event drain isn't a personality defect, it's a fuel leak. And the first step to plugging it is knowing it has a name. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped thinking about networking events as social events. I started treating them as energy management exercises. The goal isn't to talk to everyone. The goal isn't to make a brilliant impression on the VP of something or other. The goal is to exit the building with more energy than you'd have had if you just white-knuckled your way through the whole thing. That's the entire game. And it's a winnable game once you know the rules. So here's the energy budget method. 3 tools, designed specifically for introverts, built for real rooms with real people, who are also, by the way, mostly pretending to enjoy this too. Tool 1, preload, don't drain. In the 2 hours before the event, stop rehearsing conversations. I know that's your default move: run the scenarios, prep the openers, wargame every possible awkward pause. But every minute you spend rehearsing is social fuel burned before you've even arrived. Instead, do something that genuinely restores you: a walk, 15 minutes of actual quiet, a meal you didn't eat standing over a sink. You're building reserves, not battle plans. Tool 2, the anchor person system. When you walk in, your single job, your only job for the first 10 minutes, is to find one person you already know and actually like. Not network, not circulate strategically, just anchor. Standing next to someone familiar drops your cortisol, signals your nervous system that you're safe, and buys you time to read the room from a position of relative stability. Think of it as base camp. You're not staying there all night. You're just establishing ground before you explore. Tool 3, the 3 and out conversation structure. This one is for the draining ones, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. The person who has been monologuing at you for 9 minutes about their weekend golf round. The colleague who transforms every question into a promotional video for their own career. Here's the move. Give them 3 genuine responses, not monosyllables, actual engaged sentences, and then deploy the exit ramp. The exit ramp sounds exactly like this. I really want to catch specific name before they leave. It was great catching up. That's the whole script. No apology. No vague excuse. Name a specific person you're going to find. Deliver it with a natural smile. And move. The specificity is what makes it land clean. I need to go mingle sounds like an escape. I want to catch Marcus before he heads out. Sounds like you have somewhere to be. One of those is graceful, the other one isn't. Take a second. Think about the last networking event you powered through. How many of those conversations could have ended 30% earlier if you'd had a clean, guilt-free exit line already loaded? Here's what ties all 3 tools together. And this is the part I want you to sit with. You're not a broken extrovert who needs fixing. You are a person with a specific and finite energy supply, and how you manage that supply, before, during, and after these events, is the entire difference between leaving tired and leaving drained. And those are not the same thing. Tired is recoverable. Tired goes away with sleep, and a quiet morning drained is the feeling at 11 p.m. when you're lying in the dark, replaying every exchange, cataloging every moment that might have landed wrong, wondering if Karen from finance thought you were weird when you mentioned that thing about the spreadsheet. Drained follows you into the next day, and sometimes the one after that. The energy budget method doesn't promise you'll start loving these events. I won't insult you like that. What it promises is this: you won't arrive empty. You'll have an anchor when the room gets loud, and you'll have a clean exit when any given conversation starts costing more than it's giving. That's not antisocial. That's strategic. And strategic is something we're actually very good at. After the event, and most people skip this part entirely, give yourself a real recovery window. Not a quick scroll, not half an episode of something you've already seen 3 times. Actual quiet. The post-event crash is real, and it's proportional to how long you were performing. Budget for it the same way you'd budget for a hard workout. You wouldn't run a long race and immediately schedule a dinner party. Your social recovery deserves that same respect. I have a question. Be honest in the comments. At these events, do you work the whole room, or do you find one anchor person and stay close to them for most of the night? I'm a 1 anchor person. Always have been. 2 anchors on a good night. Tell me yours below. I actually read these. And now you have the energy budget, how to walk in with fuel in the tank, where to position yourself, and how to exit a conversation without it becoming a whole thing. But there's another layer to this, and it's the one that trips up even the most prepared introverts. What to actually say once you're inside the room, how to stop performing and start actually connecting. I broke that down in the next one. It's called Effortless Ways to Fit in Anywhere as an Introvert. And it starts with a scenario that has probably haunted you too. It's right here.